What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. It was a crazy weekend. And that's one of the things about being a content creator is that you got to be on at all times if you really trying to take advantage of the growth, the opportunities, and competing with these much larger outlets, even all the way to the point of the CNNs, the MSNBCs, and the Fox News, because they operate 24 hours a day. And if you really want to compete, then you got to be on it, right? Even when it came to other things outside of politics, like the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, as soon as they would drop a song, the reactors was getting on it, and the ones that really capitalized off of it and made all of the money and got all of the visibility and the additional subscribers, they are the ones that was on it. And that's the thing. Being a content creator and also owning your business is not just waking up and doing what you want to do when you want to do it. It's being on point, being prepared, and success is when opportunity meets preparation. We know that. And so some of us don't miss. I never miss. I got multiple studios. I got multiple computers and camera setups everywhere. So it don't matter where I am or what's going on. I'm dedicated to my craft, and that's what it takes in order to really be able to capitalize and be successful. I was able to do that this weekend, and one of the conversations that we were having was what was going on with Kamala Harris. Now, it's about 5:15 in the morning. I am on my way to the studio. I got my bike right there, so we always riding our bike with my book bag, but I had to stop by where it's a good lighting at to have this conversation in the city. Woodward, Hart Plaza, it was popping. It had a bunch of festivals. It had the Riverfront Festival, but it had a bunch of performers, Monica, Uncle Luke, a bunch of people. I was watching it from my window, but it was interesting. A lot happening this weekend, and I spent the majority of my time grinding. I got outside, but I was grinding. And we all know that Joe Biden dropped out of the race. But one of the things that he did, which I ultimately predicted, and I've been talking about it for a long time, make sure y'all join the morning show, the Millionaire Morning Show this morning. I've been talking about it for an extended period of time, and it was that the real play was to get Kamala Harris to ultimately, hopefully, be on their end, not hopefully on my end, but hopefully on their end, to be president of the United States of America. But here's the real play, and I talked about this, but it was confirmed yesterday after the announcement, right? So after Kamala Harris made this big statement and she said, yeah, I plan to earn the nomination and ultimately, become president of the United States of America, and we're going to mobilize together and really beat Trump. What she means by earning a nomination is at the Democratic National Convention in August, next month, because we already know that the Republican National Convention was last week. So the Democratic National Convention is in August over in Chicago, and the middle of Chicago. And basically because the party is in flux because Joe Biden is too old to run, and then eventually he said that he wasn't going to drop out, but then he dropped out because they seen no path to victory. What's going to happen now is they're mobilizing the sister code. Well, Anton, you can't just be making this up, because now you have a much larger platform, so you have to be a lot more responsible with your words, right? Well, the first thing that they did, because she's an AKA, which a lot of y'all want to sit here and say, she never claimed to be black. Well, why is she a part of the black fraternities? Why is she a part of the black sororities? The Divine Nine, right? Because she's an AKA, and before Joe Biden even dropped out of the race, one of the things that she did was she went to the Boule convention over in Dallas. Yes, I have a bunch of girls that was calling me yesterday in order to keep me informed all yesterday, all late in the evening, about the conversations that was going on. She went over to the Boule over in Dallas in order to rally the troops. This is how I already knew and why I was already recording content about what the play was a long time ago. Rally the troops, all of the AKAs within the sorority, to make sure that they are now a part of the movement, what's happening as far as getting them out to the polls and to mobilize the vote. But it's not just the AKAs, right? Because they had a meeting last night, and so they're doing this whole thing called Stroll to the Polls. Yes, thank you to all of my ladies that's rocking out with me. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all keeping me informed. Stroll to the polls, where they're going to be doing pink and green And they basically going to be doing strolls and mobilizing and getting everybody that they possibly can to participate in this election process to ultimately get Kamala Harris to be president of the United States of America. Now, that means that they already believe that she's going to be the nomination, which I believe that too. That's pretty obvious. They keep saying that she's going to earn it. Yeah, okay. The only conversation that we really having at this point is who's going to be the vice president running mate of Kamala Harris. Here's the other part of it though, right? They're not just mobilizing AKAs, they're trying to mobilize the entire Divine Nine. So the sister code, the Simps, the brother code, all of that, or whatever it is that you want to rock out with, they're basically trying to mobilize every black fraternity because the AKAs have a lot of pull within the Divine Nine. They're trying to mobilize every single fraternity to then participate in trying to get her to become president of the United States of America. Now, let me ask you a question. How is that earning the nomination and how is that earning your vote? They're not going to be voting based off of policy. They're not trying to get you to vote based off of who's the best actual candidate. They're trying to get you to vote based off of affiliation, skin color, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and whether or not you are a fraternity member that can then influence not only other fraternities and mobilize them, but also other people that are around them that ultimately they are associated with. So they are using a vast network. And this is one of the reasons that you cannot sleep if you are a person that believes differently. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but if you believe differently based off of policy and you say, you know what, we haven't even heard anything, and if we going just based off of her track record as a person that was a legislator or was if you just going based off of her track record in general, if you just want to go off of the fact that they named her the border czar and her main focus was supposed to be the border, yet we sitting here with over 15, 20 million people and counting going into these sanctuary cities and borders are still unprotected. If you really want to just go based off of her track record of being a vice president of the United States of America, when she first was elected, when they first got into office, there were reports coming out of the White House saying that she was difficult to work with and people were tired of her and all of this stuff. If you just want to go just based off of that, nobody is asking the pertinent questions about what she stand on, why she's so focused on one thing, but yet she failed in another thing and all of that. They're trying to get you to vote, and they're trying to get the black population to now rally behind her and the Indian population to rally behind her because it's now all based off of identity politics. They're trying to get that rocking out instead of spending the majority of the time trying to educate the voters on what's best for America. They don't care about what's best for you. They don't care about if the policies make sense. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your jobs. They don't care about none of that stuff. They care about making sure that they align with their network. And luckily, there are, and I hear a lot of people, they'll never admit it out loud because they don't want to go against the sister code and they don't want to go against the brother code. We know it's a bunch of simps out there or whatever. They're not going to ever say it out loud publicly like a lot of the UAW members, in which the UAW then gave their endorsement over to current President Biden, who's now dropped out. But a lot of the members really don't align with it at all. They're not going to sit here and tell you that they don't, but it's a lot of women in particular, and then I haven't talked to a whole lot of other women that are part of the other sororities and stuff, but I know a lot of these little ACAs. Shout out to little ACAs. I know a lot of them, and I'm also familiar with the idea that they're trying to get this woman elected based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion and identity politics and affiliation, networking. So you got to remain vigilant. It's not going to be a sleepwalk. It's not going to be just oh man, Trump has already won. I believe that he is the best person personally for the job. However, you cannot just automatically assume that you got this sold up just because Joe Biden dropped out of the race and he was a horrible candidate, a horrible pick in the first place. He did a horrible job in the last 4 years, in my opinion, anyway, all right? You got to stay vigilant, you got to stay educated, and you got to stay up to it. They're not going to tell you this. They're not going to have this conversation on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and ABC and all of these networks. They not in the streets. They not interconnected. They don't have a bunch of people giving them phone calls in the middle of the night having this conversation. And if they do, it's not really pertinent for news, and it doesn't really align with the agenda. And so I got to give it to you straight up from the streets. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Millionaire Morning Show. It's going to be an absolutely awesome show. I love here in Detroit, and I'm also going to be in Houston next week. secret location unless you're a bag chaser. Bag chasers don't tell nobody our location. We popping out. Houston next weekend. It's going to be a hoot of a time. I don't even know what I'm going to be wearing. I did get my hotel room over the weekend, but make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, on top of that, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. It's an awesome time. Awesome time to go and get you some Teach Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to see y'all in the studio today, man. Peace.